In the Philippines, Tzu Chi volunteers continue to provide aid supplies to jeepney drivers. In Singapore, Tzu Chi volunteers celebrated the 27th anniversary of the establishment of the Singapore chapter online. Selamat datang ke Dial Headline, saya Simon Gan. Terima kasih menyertai sesi berita kita. Tzu Chi Philippines Chapter's Pandemic Relief Program is in the mid to long-term stage. Since August, they have been giving out supplies to jeepney drivers. Recently, they've expanded their plan to Mandaluyong and Valenzuela.
Kung saan loob na nagbibigay sa akin ng kapitbahay, kaibigan, kung saan loob na nagbibigay sa akin ng biyaya. Alam kong blessing para sa akin yun.
Since the pandemic has been ongoing in the Philippines, Tzu Chi Philippine chapter continues to carry out relief efforts. Since August, they've been distributing supplies to jeepney drivers. The plan has expanded from Greater Manila to Mandaluyong and Valenzuela.
For the past half a year, they have led a harsh life. They took turns to drive and there cannot be many passengers on the vehicle, so they had little income. The Drivers Association was asking for help. When they learned that Tzu Chi volunteers are coming to help them, they were very happy. They were really happy.
The driver take turns to drive vehicles according to the government's easing restriction on transportation. However, their income has dramatically decreased and most drivers are facing financial difficulties.
I have 3 children and my wife has left the family 12 years ago. I'm the only breadwinner in the family. I can only drive, which is how I make a living. Now that I do not have work, I do not have income. Thanks God for sending you to help us.
On behalf of the drivers of the Jeepney Association, I want to express my gratitude to Tzu Chi and Dharma Master Zheng Yan. Philippines Tzu Chi volunteers have delivered supplies, and the rice is very helpful to us. Thank you.
At the distribution venue, besides Tzu Chi volunteers, government officials and entrepreneurs also dedicated themselves to serving the public.
This distribution program is very helpful for these jeepney drivers. If I have put in any efforts, it's the efforts of all the participants.
As everyone works with one heart to fight against the pandemic, these people also reach out to people in need, helping them get through the tough times.
Teachings from Tzu Chi Malaysia chapter are preparing to present a Sutra Adaptation of profound gratitude to its parents online. In preparation, the onstage volunteers were encouraged to join study sessions online to learn the Dharma.
During the epidemic, how do people rehearse? Tzu Chi Malaysia chapter Tzu Chi think of a solution.
In the beginning, most practices were carried out online. We could not see the hand gestures very clearly. Forming human formations is also a challenge. We had to ensure that the people keep a social distance according to the government's regulation, and we kept changing formations. Fortunately, in the end, everything worked out.
Tzu Chi graduates encourage onstage volunteers to participate in study sessions. It is important that they take the Dharma teachings to heart.
We encourage everyone to join the study session online. Being an onstage volunteer, one must learn the sutra. They are also promoting Buddha Dharma, so they must pass on what they learn from the Buddhist sutra. They should understand that the Sutra of Profound Gratitude towards Parents' Adaptation is more than a performance.
These young teachers learn while doing things. Seeing how the onstage volunteers learn and grow, they've also gained much.
I've played the drum in the Sutra Adaptation before, and someone taught me to do it. However, this time, I had to learn it by myself and I need to teach other volunteers. So I think it's a bit difficult. Sometimes I make mistakes trying to catch a tempo. I had to practice hard, just like the master said. As we try to inspire other people, we might be influencing hundreds and thousands of people.
These young people are doing their best to prepare for the online Sutra Adaptation, hoping to pass on the Dharma teachings.
In Taiwan, an exhibition of Buddhist sutra drawings has been held at the Tainan Jingsi Hall. The exhibition presents the works of Tzu Chi volunteer Chen Songde, who has spent more than 3 years completing Lotus Sutra drawings. Here's more.
Chen Songde spent 3 years to complete sutra drawings for threefold Lotus Sutra. The Buddha's teachings to his disciple were full of compassion. A Buddha Sutra is what Buddhist practitioners rely on. Chen Songde was inspired to create Buddhist Sutra drawings.
The Buddha has come to this world to teach Lotus Sutra. We should learn the sutra and put it into practice. This phrase has inspired me to create sutra drawings.
Chen Songde also has a daughter who is talented in music.
When my father draws the Buddha Sutra, he cannot be distracted. If he is distracted, he would make mistakes. He uses the time when grandma is asleep, maybe midnight, to create his works. Then he has work to do in the daytime. When he has to create a lot of drawings, he's very busy.
Having been influenced by her father, Chen Wangzi can concentrate and complete every task. She hopes people can feel compassion from looking at the Buddhist Sutra drawings.
This type of unique picture, it makes you feel touched. In your mind, you will be following your feelings.
How do you place the picture of the Buddha next to the words of the sutra? His delicacy and spirit has surpassed that of ordinary artists.
The delicate Buddha Sutra drawings have amazed the exhibition goers. Chen has presented the beauty and stateliness of Buddha Sutra through his works.
The Indonesia TG Hospital is expected to officially start operations in April next year. The hospital's most important feature is the medical volunteer team. Due to the pandemic, they have been studying online at home to prepare for the hospital's opening.
Located in Jakarta, the Indonesia TG Hospital next to the local Jingsa Hall has currently finished constructing the main structure of the building. At the moment, the hospital is being outfitted with furnishings and other internal systems. Although the epidemic prevention measures are in place, medical volunteers are still continuing their training through the internet.
Indonesia Tzu Chi Hospital is a charity hospital. We were not established to earn profits, so we hope that all the staff in the hospital and a medical volunteer group can complement each other through optimal cooperation. This will allow the hospital to provide patients and their families with the best quality service.
Tzu Chi Hospital in Indonesia is expected to be officially open in April next year. In addition to general outpatient and inpatient medical services, stem cell transplant, palliative care, neurosurgery, cancer, OBGYN, and pediatric care will be offered. Medical volunteers will act as a communication bridge between patients and medical care staff.
As a medical volunteer, the most important things are empathy, compassion, and a willingness to listen. I went to a Tzu Chi hospital in Taiwan to learn about it. We want to use that set of professional training for volunteer training.
Rumah sakit ini sebetulnya software kita pelayanan dia lebih penting daripada.
The establishment of Tzu Chi Hospital in Indonesia is not just about the most advanced medical equipment. The most important thing is to provide the best medical service to every patient and allow Tzu Chi's volunteer spirit to spread throughout the hospital.
The first overseas Tzu Chi hospital is about to be completed, and the spirit of Tzu Chi's humanitarian medical care will soon be put into practice in a Muslim country.
Due to the pandemic, many Tzu Chi activities were changed to online events. This also includes the 27th anniversary of Tzu Chi Singapore chapter. In cooperation with the local government's movement control order, every volunteer met each other using online conferencing and celebrated together.
Singapore Tzu Chi chapter had reached 27 years old. Under the pandemic, Tzu Chi people were unable to gather in person to celebrate. Therefore, a new method was presented. Volunteers in groups of 6 form a team, and through online conferencing, 166 locations join one another on the cloud.
This 27th anniversary, we presented it in a different way. Through technology, Tzu Chi brothers and sisters gather and celebrate the anniversary. I hope that under this pandemic, everyone can be prepared. And when the situation improves, then we may team up and walk into different communities.
Under the epidemic, Tzu Chi volunteers helped people in need and also assisted each other. Volunteers Ko Lai Long's son unfortunately contracted COVID-19. Gladly, they were Dharma friends accompanying her through tough times.
The Tzu Chi volunteers have been caring. They call and message me, give me words of encouragement. They told me, Lila and Auntie, you must cheer up, okay?
The cloud-based anniversary gathering not only has kind words by volunteers, Jingsi Dharma masters also recorded blessing videos, encouraging Singapore volunteers to use their specialty and do more good deeds.
期望未来的无数的27年，新加坡会是一个有爱、有善的一个国度。
祝福我们新加坡分会27周年永远的成长。
非常感恩上人。
I'm very grateful to Master Cheng Yan for staying with us.
更感恩资深的菩萨们。
We have grown, and I want to thank those senior bodhisattvas
里面的付出。
because they have been contributing to Tzu Chi along the way. We hope that all of Jingsi disciples and Tzu Chi volunteers in Singapore may work together to promote vegetarianism and recruit more fellows to learn the Dharma.
Under the pandemic, though there is no grand celebrations, but the gatherings have allocated volunteers' commitment.
In New York, the fourth phase of the restoration plan has completed at the end of July. But what's the real situation? Our reporter went into the most populated region of Times Square and New York's Chinatown and learned that tourists recovered about 20% and half of the restaurants have resumed business. In order for New York to return to its previous state of glory, it will probably take half a year to a year.
Times Square is the most populated place in New York. 6 months after the pandemic, cars and people began to return to the city. Stores also continue to reopen. But because the custom restriction is still in place, it is hard to spot tourists here.
Where did you come from?
Brazil.
How many people in your family come in?
7.
Tourists decreased and affected many people's economic situation. Ibrahima is an immigrant from South Africa, as he does the job of a bus tour salesperson in Times Square. When the pandemic started, he lost his job as a security guard, losing 80% of his part-time job income. Although work resumed at the end of July, yet business remains poor.
When we coming back right now, it's no tourists, no people coming from outside the country. So number two, we getting a day like $40, $50, sometimes $0.
Starting this May, the state of New York initiated the 4 phases of recovering. Places including banks, clinics, salons, shops, and restaurants, 30,000 people slowly made their way back to work. But as the job market provides more labor compared to needs, in the short term, many things may not be normal.
And then when we start working again back, we was working only 2 days or 3 days. Right now, the salary will increase. Right now, I working like 17 per hour. Before I was doing 23, but now it's a little less, because many people looking for job and the only construction is more better right now. But, have a lot of competition right now.
The most populated region of New York is in Flushing. As banks and clinics reopen, half of the stores also resume business, but business is still quite poor. The largest industry in Flushing, the restaurants, have suffered severe economic pressure. Approximately half of the restaurants there face permanent closure.
Due to the pandemic, we closed down and thought it would only last 2 months, but for half a year, things didn't improve. 3 months ago, I didn't see any hope, so I closed the restaurant down. The rent also gives me great pressure. Now the competition is fierce.
As of now, restaurants are in preparation to resume business as they only allowed food delivery and eating outdoors. Restaurant owners must follow the rules. Tables are separated to keep distance. Disinfection and measuring body temperatures need to be done.
This is alcohol. Every time we clear a table, we spray this to disinfect the surface, okay?
Although entering Phase 4, New York still doesn't have reopened the option to dine in on restaurants. Mr. Cho, a food delivery man for 20 years, says that though the pandemic boosted his industry, if restaurants reopened, it will still help the entire restaurant business.
If the restaurants can function normally, everyone could come in and eat and keep some distance between each other. This will also bring the food delivery service up.
New York, after 3 months of the pandemic, needs many months for recovery. The city also has to face the possible second outbreak this coming winter. New York had gone from the most dangerous state to the best COVID prevention state in the United States. The question of how to maintain this role model of a state while catering to economic growth proves to be a challenge post-pandemic.
In Sichuan, Wang Haoyu, who is 3.5 years old this year, has been a vegetarian since he was in his mother's womb. Originally, his grandmother was against him being a vegetarian, but Haoyu grew up healthy and smart, so his grandma prepares vegetarian lunchbox every day and sends it to the kindergarten to support him.
Preparing all kinds of vegetables for the family is the happiest moment for Liu Shuangshou and her mother-in-law. Actually, it's not easy for the whole family to be meatless, especially when Shuangshou was pregnant.
I can ignore the negative voices of my friends, but family members, especially the elders, it's not disagreement, but it's just that she's really worried about her grandson.
Wang Haoyu has been vegetarian since his mother's womb. He is healthy and lively. His grandmother no longer upsets him to be vegetarian and also gives him lunch every day to support him.
After she sends her grandson to school, she goes to the vegetable market to buy vegetables, cooks for him and sends it to school at noon because his school doesn't provide vegetarian food.
It's been 3 years since he has been vegetarian, so I'll cook for him and support him.
Grandma uses her actions to support her grandson and is confident that he will grow tall and strong.
According to a study, it's estimated that Malaysia ranks 8th in the world for plastic waste producing, nearly 1 million tons due to poor plastic waste management. Also, cleaning costs are a heavy burden on the government, as the country produces 33 million tons of garbage and only 24% of the garbage is recycled and reused, most of which is paper. Therefore, how to turn the garbage into renewable resources has been a key issue for the Malaysian government in recent years. Full report as we learn more.
A day in a quiet small community starts with garbage collection.
Malaysian people generally do not sort garbage classification. In this garbage bag that we are randomly sampling, there are things like aluminum foil bag, paper bags, kitchen waste, all thrown together, turning these reusable resources into garbage.
Look at the people behavior in this state or in the whole country. People really do not really have the sensitivity when it comes to whether it is their own responsibility to do the recycle, just to preserve the environment, to prevent that the whole waste being dumped at the landfill.
Most of the garbage collectors are migrant workers and their salaries are not high. Recyclables that can be sold have become an alternative income channel for them.
If they find a resource that can be sold, they will sort it first, like iron, plastic, paper. They will put it aside and sell it.
These sought-after recyclables expose the sanitation team members to the risk of being robbed.
When this truck go to this village area, very far area, normally there is a problem there. Our truck will be stopped by gangster or robbery, they ask for money, That's why for the truck which are operating on we call it risky zone.
KDEB is both a public and private company. It is responsible for collecting garbage in the entire Selangor state. The cost of cleaning and transportation includes manpower and transportation. One family only subsidizes $2, which is 7 ringgits. Compared with the garbage removal company in Kuala Lumpur, the subsidy is $4, which is double, as they also learn how to divide the load between 2 vehicles to carry garbage and recyclables.
Every local government has an average annual income of 30%, and more than 30% is used for garbage disposal. So this is the heaviest burden for the local government.
In this area, 3,000 tons of garbage are dumped every day. When the garbage truck dumps the garbage, it will be buried with a layer of soil. When the pile reaches 27 meters high, it will be covered and a new space for landfill must be found.
There's a sour smell in the air, and this is the final destination for domestic garbage made by the people. There are 8 landfill sites in Selangor, and this site in Juraram is one of the larger ones that can accommodate nearly half of Selangor's waste.
It will last maybe like the most 7 years. One is fill up 7 years, what are you going to do? You have to have another 100 to 150 acres of land just to be on standby for KDB to send the waste. So this is not the way forward, not the sustainable thing to do.
To extend the life of the burial site, you must consider water quality, air pollution, land erosion, and other issues. The legal treatment method should be a layer of soil and a layer of garbage, plus a biogas exhaust pipe. And at the bottom, there's also an impermeable layer. When planning for this final treatment, wastewater is also a challenge. In Malaysia, there are 130 burial sites, and 80% of them are not done in a safe way.
For example, if we spend $10 to $12 per metric ton in Malaysia, we can discard it to the landfill site. If the incinerator is used, its price may rise to $20 to $30.
Recycling or burying in landfill will never keep up with the speed of manufacturing. Perhaps what needs to be considered is that reducing trash at the source, which is the ultimate solution. There used to be a garbage mountain in Kampong Industrial District. After the operation ceased more than 10 years ago, at the beginning of 2020, construction vehicles once again broke the tranquility of the area by building new roads. On one side, 6 years ago, it was transformed into a new development zone with many residents and businesses.
This is actually very close to Kuala Lumpur. It's less than 10 kilometers away, so this land is also very valuable. The government has given this land to private individuals for development purposes.
As soon as the site was excavated, garbage appeared, such as iron and aluminum cans and tires. Much of this had not completed its decomposition process, and it was a shocking scene to many.
In fact, there are still some poisonous gas in the burial site that will emerge. I think there's still a big impact on health, but the pace of development cannot be stopped. When you reach this place, you still need development.
This is all caused by mankind. It will be eventually borne by mankind. One day these former landfill sites will become residential areas, leaving us with little choice but to live on top of garbage, which will be worrying to many people in their heart.
The 9th Thai Essence Teacher Award ceremony was held recently with 63 outstanding teachers being awarded. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you and goodbye.